I'm going to challenge you. ጤና ይስጥልኝ ጀማል እንደምን አለ? Hold on. I mute you or what? You mute yourself. Hold on a second. You mute yourself.
Oui. Okay.
We is Amharic, by the way. Okay?
I know. I know.
Huh? We is Amharic, by the way. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So how are you? How are you, Jamal?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, sir?
So answer first my Amharic. እንደምን ነህ? ደህና ነህ ወይ?
Xavier Meskin.
There you go. There you go. Jamal, you and me are known for years. I have a great admire for your work. You are almost, I don't know how to say, you professional journalist, but you are a close friend for all Ethiopians. I have known you, I don't know, close to, I don't know, 7 years, 8 years, I don't know how many years,
Mm,
maybe
mm,
more,
mm,
maybe more.
mm,
You've been with us up and down. You show us what is between us, what is the outcome of our unnecessary fights. Whatever we do in
mm,
Ethiopia, when it goes wrong, Jamal is there to show us, guys, this is what happened. Look at the outcome. I don't care what you think, I don't care what you believe, but this is what the people are suffering now. Think about this. So you are there to tell us when we go wrong, and I have a great admire for that. You never been a
mm,
part of any other politics or work for a government or anything. You there just for the people. Come on, whatever you do, don't lose your Ethiopianism. Don't cross the line. Don't just go hard each other, please. I
mm.
wish we understand you. That's how I know Jamal. Did I miss something?
No, no, that's me in a nutshell. I mean, I grew up loving the country as I studied my faith and developed my learning. I just learned about Ethiopia as Ethiopia. I learned that yes, there are different ethnic groups, 80 ethnic groups and languages and what have you, but I learned about the country as a whole. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
I mean, your work shows that you there to show us anywhere something happens in Ethiopia, unless you've been uh, told no, you'll be there. That's what I know you. So you
Mm,
have so many trips recently. Let's just start from current trip that you have.
mm,
The internally displaced people, the IDP in Ethiopia is unbelievable. You put it a number,
mhm.
you've been out in other medias. So how many IDPs do you think we have? How worst it is?
I can't even accurately say right now because I don't have revised numbers from Afar. I know the Amhara region, the northern regions are sadly contending with IDP populations that have been in existence since the invasion of Amhara. So, in the case of those people from Sokoto and Wag Hemera, uh, I met up with a lot of them in Bahar Dar when they were in Zanzalima IDP camp and was celebrating with them a couple months later when they were going back to Sokoto because they thought they were going home. But when I came back to them on this last trip, they were sandwiched between Sokoto and their homes. Their homes were still occupied by the TPLF, so they are languishing in a series of schools and warehouses and impromptu camps that are offering inhospitable conditions. It's hot, it's dry, water and food are at a minimum, there are shortages. And now, based upon communication I just received 2 weeks ago, people in some parts of Dakota are contending with an outbreak of rabies, which
Wow.
is actually unheard of, for
Mm,
me anyway. Um, they, as well as TPLF forces on the other side of the border, are contending with a rabies outbreak. Um, there are members of the Hara ethnicity who are displaced from Wolega, who I met when I was in Wollo, who are dealing with shortages and pretty inhospitable conditions as well. And now with winter coming and people from all of these areas outside of their homes It's, this winter may be a bit of a nightmare for those people, as well as the Tigeru who have left Tigray and who are in Wollo and Afar, who are escaping the TPLF because, quite frankly, they are starving. They don't have access to food unless they pay to be a part of this food distribution program. And food is basically going to the TPLF members, the cadre, the militia or military in training, and then those civilians who pay for it. So you have IDPs predominantly from the Amhara community. You have IDPs from Tigray, and they are and the IDPs from Afar. So you have people who basically are displaced in their own homelands, who are suffering miserably.
Yeah. Jamal, when war broke out, the IDPs are always there. What I don't
Mm.
understand is in Wolaga, Ethiopia, there is no war as far as I know, and the government should have a strong hand there. But as you know, nothing's happened. I don't think it has coverage with the international media about Wolaga IDPs. I think you are the first international media, as far as I'm concerned. Of course, locally, we do so many coverages. So how different it is? I mean, I understand the Wollo area, the Amhara area, it's war, it's fighting, it's worst. But when it comes to Wallaga's different stories, so did you see that difference? Did you ask their story why they are displaced from Wallaga? How they come all the way to Wollo? How they managed to get there?
Well, basically, people were running for their lives. They're fleeing just point blank ethnic cleansing. Um, they were forced out of homes and off of land that they had occupied for a few generations, built successful businesses, built homes, were farmers, et cetera, et cetera. And because the OLF and allied forces wanted that land for themselves, they began a reign of terror. And this reign of terror has been going on even before the war started, if you consider Metikul and Benishangul. So this is all about land resources and taking land from people who had been there for a few generations because other people want it, and committing atrocities and massacres along the way. So these people who you come in contact with from Walega who are suffering, these are people who had lives. All IDPs had lives. They all had businesses. They all, practiced their crafts or were farmers or homemakers or what have you. But these people were predominantly business people. You know, they were farmers, they were business owners, et cetera, so forth, and they were dispossessed from their lands. They were kicked off their lands, losing family members along the way, either to slaughter or just being separated because people really fled. People had to flee in silence in some cases because if they spoke Amharic while they were in the region, they were killed, taken off the buses and killed. So people had to basically travel in silence and couldn't really speak or communicate until they were free of Oromia,
Mm.
Walega slash Oromia. Um,
Wow.
and in this context, people were also separated from families. So these families, these people I came in contact with in Walega, and I made 3 different trips to this IDP camp just outside of Hike. Um, People were separated. If you know someone is coming to kill you and destroy your home, you flee. There are people who managed to take some belongings and flee. There are some other people who left with nothing.
Mm.
And, parents being separated from kids, brothers being separated from sisters. These are the kind of things that occurred. In other cases, people walked. I spoke to some individuals who walked for 22 days to get from where they lived in Walega into Wallow, into to safe regions, or what they considered or what they deemed safe regions.
It's just their, I don't know how they think that going Wollo will be safe to them because most of them They're born in Wallaga. They've been there almost the entire their life. The
Mm,
reason they flee to that area is, I guess, the reason that has been imposed on them, that because they are Amhara, they've been told you are Amhara, that's why we can kill you. So I
mm.
guess maybe that's why they try to go, okay, if we are Amhara, where is Amhara? Let's go to Amhara to survive. Is that what it is?
Yeah, in a nutshell, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
What
Yeah.
is the story behind this picture? This is unbelievable picture. You just had everything, even the drop of the tear is still there, hanging in the air. I can see that. I know your professionalism is just unbelievable. Where is the story? Tell me, who is she? What is this?
Okay, so the IDP camp outside of Hike is home to over 1,000. I think at this rate, 1,400 Muslim and Christian internally displaced people from Walega, Amhara, all Amhara. So we had spoke to the camp administrator, and we wanted to hear testimonies. We wanted to hear people's stories. It's the nature of the type of coverage that I do, is to let the victims or those affected speak. I completely remove myself from the process and just basically give the floor, the stage to the subject. So we were listening to and recording testimonies, and people were in this circle of about, maybe I want to say like at least 150, 200, mainly women. Um, and they were just talking about their experiences, about how they fled, how they watched people die, how they watched people being slaughtered, having to travel in silence, having to get to this place any way they could, for fear of their lives and their families' lives. So this young girl, this woman, was just listening to testimonies, and she was overtaken by emotion. What you don't see is that basically everybody else around her is crying as well. But
Wow.
yeah, I mean, and even, even the men had tears in their eyes and were visibly crying because of the horror that these people experienced.
It's unbelievable. There is another woman, which is this. This is you can tell what she has been going through. She's been there the entire her life. I think this is almost, I don't know how old she is, and she's been living there wherever she was displaced the entire her life. That's what I can see. Now she has
Hmm.
to face new life on this age. I cannot believe. What is the story?
You said it in a nutshell. Basically, here it is, and I didn't disclose full details about her environment, but sharing a barn with several individuals from Walega. This IDP camp was formerly an orphanage for children who were orphaned during the Derg War. The facility, I think, has had multiple uses through time, but they've run out of room. They're running out of room for IDPs. So these people were basically staying in a barn. This woman and a couple of other individuals, and some younger people who had escaped and left their families behind. And she was listening to the testimony of a young girl, a young girl who basically had to travel in silence on a bus until she was in the Amhara region because she did not want to be pulled off and killed. And this woman who is well into, I would give her, you know, into her 70s. She could be in her late 60s. Irregardless, she's been in this place. She's been in Walega for a large part of her life. And, we consider how much respect we have for our elders and how we, revere, our elderly women, our grandmothers and our mothers. You think about the fact that she had to flee with whatever she could carry from a place that she'd been living in for most of her life to end up in a barn where people had stored cattle in previous times,
Hmm.
and this is a woman of dignity who has been, and I don't even want to say reduced to this, but this is her new circumstance.
Hmm.
you know?
I have seen
So,
some other videos. Displaced people from Walaga. They were, as you said, traveling 22 days and they have no food. They are hungry. Imagine these people has life. They were
mhm,
not beggars. They were people living with a decent life. Everything is taken just within a flash of their eyes, and
mm,
now they have nothing. Did you see them? They don't know even how to bake. They don't know what to say. They are hungry, but they not accustomed to say, "Give me a food," because they don't know that. They never bake.
mm-mm,
And did
mm-mm,
you see that? That's something. It kills me inside. They can't even bake because they don't know how to bake. That's not who they are.
mm-mm. No, I didn't get a sense of that throughout the camp. I mean, these were people who, um, how can I say? I don't want to say were proud, but they maintained a sense of dignity and decorum, and you could tell that um, they're more shocked. They're traumatized. I mean, you're dealing with some. Imagine somebody owning a business in a building, and I saw this in Afar too, but somebody owning a whole business or a network of businesses, and within a matter of days, they're in Wolo with nothing, nothing, and they are used to working hard to build their own business, to build up whatever, and now they're reduced to like, okay, so I guess I have to figure out a way to feed my family or to feed myself. So I either go to work and hike or wherever I can find work. There are NGOs that, and I wouldn't say are coming. I only managed to see one NGO that had a presence there, and they were delivering mattresses on my first trip. Um, but yeah, these are people who are not accustomed to that at all.
Hmm.
And actually, when I began to interview them, you sensed an anger, and it's not even a frustration, but just an anger and a bitterness because they watched their family and friends die because somebody else wanted them off of the land that they had owned for years and wanted to take it for themselves.
Hmm. I understand almost a few young men are survived and they disappear. Either they've been killed, and on the IDPs, I don't think I have seen many young peoples, young men. Some of them they do survive, and this is a picture. It tells you something. I don't know what it is, but I guess he's explaining to you, and the place is just a little bit different. What is this? What is the story of this?
This young man is, and I don't want to butcher this, he is part of Walkaiti um, organization or society.
Hmm.
And we are we are on the floor of one of the torture or the prison cells at Badru Sidist, which was a network of detention and torture camps in Walkite for ethnic Amhara. And he was basically explaining how when this camp was in operation, when the TPLF occupied Walkite during the Derg regime up until 1991, or at least ran this camp, the wall behind him was taller. And what would happen is the TPLF would bring in prisoners and just throw them into this pit, which is on the edge of a cliff.
Hmm.
And they would basically be there in this hole until they were taken out and tortured. And if they did not deny their Amhara existence and accept a Tigrayan existence, they were thrown off the cliff, which is just past that wall. This cliff, yeah.
Okay,
They
this
were
is
thrown
it.
off of this cliff. Yeah,
Wow. They just throw them
yeah.
on this cliff, and they die from falling. That's what it is, right?
Well, basically, yeah. Either you denounce being ethnic Amhara, and you
Okay.
say you accept being declared a Tigrayan because they just magically will make you Tigrayan because you declare it. And if you deny that, just past Adisu's foot, the guide, is the edge of the cliff, and that's I
Wow.
estimated a 300-foot drop.
Wow.
Um,
So basically, what
so
you have to say is, I am not Amhara. I am Tigray. So you'll be survive. But if you say, I'm
Yes,
not Tigray, I'm Amhara, then they will throw it down.
they'll throw you down. They'll throw you off the cliff.
There are some schools. This is the part of it, I guess.
Well, this is from another region. This is still in Welkite. This is from the town Adi Salam. And Adi Salam was a town that was adjacent to a torture prison called Gehenna. Um, and Gehenna was a place where Amhara prisoners, Amhara ethnic elders, business owners, or what have you, they were marched to Gehenna from a nearby town, and they were imprisoned there and tortured and imprisoned either until they were killed or the TPLF basically disbanded that camp.
Hmm. So a lot of trauma there. So uh, one day I was following you on the Facebook, trying to get that picture on your Facebook. Uh, this is another picture just amazing me. I found it from you. Look at this. They were really shocked to see you either. I mean, look at this. Look at what they say. What is
Uh,
this?
you're frozen. I can't see the picture. We're both frozen on my screen.
Okay.
Um,
How about now?
let me. Nope.
It's from you? I mean, mine is okay.
Yours okay?
Mine is okay. Maybe it's from you. Maybe the internet. I can hear you. You're moving to me, but
Okay.
so you
All
can't
right.
see anything.
No, but describe. Is it the picture of the women in the camp?
Those no, those three people. This is from your Facebook that you haven't sent me. I just got it. We can refresh or do
Okay.
something.
Yeah. Let me
You still hear
see.
me? Yeah, refresh
Yeah, I still
yourself.
hear you. I'm gonna refresh. Okay, you still there?
Yes, I'm there. You hear?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the picture. This is another picture from your Facebook. What fascinating me is look at how they look at you. I mean,
Mm,
look at their curiosity. And before you tell
mm,
me the story, I know you're a photographer. What do you think is going into their head? What are they seeing? What do you think? How you interpret the way they look at you?
mm. Well, for me, it hits in a way that kind of speaks of, we are asking for you to tell the story um, respectfully, and we are in misery. We are suffering terribly. What's a little cloudy for me is that because I worked with a lot of IDPs from Waghemra who were in Zanzalima in Bahardar, I don't know if people recognize. I mean, some people did recognize me because I started to tell their stories, and I took a few people to the doctor, and I tried to arrange for medical doctors to come into Zanzalima and some other things. So I don't know if these people actually recognize me, these ladies, but I do know that there's a lot of responsibility in that exchange. Because I don't know if you have the picture before that, the wider picture where the woman's preparing coffee in Shiro.
Yeah.
Um, People, when they see your intentions, they let you into their environment. When they see you're not just there to take some to do some poverty porn or take some extreme images of people suffering, when they know that you're interested in trying to better their condition and tell their stories, they open up to you. So there's a responsibility that comes with that in telling their stories accurately.
Hmm. It's unbelievable. The way they see you to me is when I see it just they're willing just what is this? They just there is no hope I can say. They're not surprised anymore. It's just they're just ready to hear from you. What is it? It's just wow. It's very hard to explain this because the
Mm,
reason I ask you this is as a photographer, when you see other IDPs.
mm,
They always come, what you gonna give it to them? Do you have money? Do you have food? They just go immediately from your help. This is not. They just disregard anything. They don't care anything. They just asking you, what is this? What do you want? Oh, you know what I mean? They not
mm,
expecting anything from you. Is that,
mm-mm.
did I
Well,
sense
you
it
got to,
right?
yeah, well, you have to understand that this is Sakota, and their homes are basically a few miles away, but occupied by the TPLF still.
Hmm.
So most of these people, they left other IDP camps in and around Bahar Dar and Emabet and some of these places, and they've come back to a camp or a series of camps that are just a stone's throw away from their homes, and they still can't go home. You know,
Hmm.
so it's just like there is a kind of a hopelessness and a deep frustration. The camp is hot. That particular camp is hot. It's dusty. There's no sanitation. So it's a situation where when somebody has to go, the adults will go a little further away from where they were. But there were people, children, who had to use the restroom and use the bathroom just maybe 15 feet away from where they were cooking, you
Hmm.
know? So people basically are eating, sleeping, and defecating within a 10 to 15 square foot space. So you
Hmm.
can imagine what that does psychologically, and what it does in terms of hygiene and et cetera, so forth.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's heavy. It's very heavy, you know.
The other thing is just when you go to Sakota and the IDPs from Amhara region, from TPLF occupied uh, area, they might be something, still in the news because of the war. They got some kind of little coverage, and there is a camp. But when it comes to Wallaga, and they have a hard time. If you heard the story, they were in Addis. Nobody would like to take them. They went to Debre Brahan. Nobody would like to take them, and they went back other place. Uh, Down there, I think it's in Oromo region area. And after that, they've been almost reattacked again. And why
Hmm.
do you think it's difficult? First of all, they shouldn't be displaced in Wallaga because it's not a war area. But if that
Hmm.
happened, how come we couldn't manage to have them in a safe IDP area? Why we couldn't help them? I don't think the help is there, especially for the Wallaga IDPs. Did you see a different?
Um, you know, the thing that I kind of need to state is that the Tigeru IDP camp is just around the corner from that camp.
Hmm.
So there's an IDP camp that has 650 Tigrayans and 120 Eritreans, and then some other people, all who came from Tigray. So that camp is a few minutes away from this camp,
Hmm.
and outside of the physical circumstances, it's just like you have two IDP camps. You know, the Walega IDP camp is in a bit worse shape than the Tigeru IDP camp. And the day that I was at the Tigeru IDP camp, there was like two lorries full of supplies that were being dropped off. Every time I went to the Walega IDP camp, I didn't see supplies being dropped off. People were
Hmm.
just managing by going into hike and buying supplies and bringing them back to the camp. I'd heard that there have been some international NGOs come through there, but I don't understand how this aid distribution works and why people were not seemingly being readily attended to as they
Hmm.
have been in some other areas. You have shown a couple of pictures from the IDP camps in Tigray, in Mekelle, um, and I just think back to probably some of the better conditioned IDP situations I've seen were in Mekelle. There were Tigeru who had steady access to supplies. I mean, Mekelle had 7 USAID feeding centers in the city. And I can't even think of when is the last time I saw a USAID feeding center or scheme in one of the IDP camps outside of Tigray.
Hmm.
Um, the warehouses were in Tigray, huge warehouses full of aid, huge, you know. And when it came down to what I saw in the Amhara region or with these Amhara IDPs from Wolega, I didn't see anything like that.
Mm,
I saw a much harder existence, fewer supplies. I saw a few outside organizations step in when I was in Zanzalima. I saw the Islamic Relief Fund step in when I was in Afar and do a seemingly amazing job. I saw the Amhara Emergency Fund deliver aid in Debark, and I heard that they had also been on the A2 corridor. But there is a bit of a different feel. It's almost like the Walega IDPs are a secret, you know, like they're the black sheep of the IDPs in the Amhara region. And I think it's because their story is rather shameful, you know.
mm,
And it's like, we have this TPLF, OLF groups being, or these groups being declared as terrorist groups. And through the course of the war, international media wasn't really, talking much about the OLF. But they're as big a factor in some ways, even bigger than the TPLF right now.
mm.
And it's just not being discussed.
Jamal, you have been a witness for so many things. Even here in USA, when we Ethiopians had demonstration, you always there. You always take picture, whatever the story, you put it out there for the international media. And you have been noticed different kind of demonstration, not only the whole Ethiopians. Sometimes we do, the Tigrayans do their own, the Eritreans do their own, the Oromos do their own. Of course, lately now the Amharas, probably we have done maybe one or two demonstration. As far as I'm concerned, the Amhara, we never done it because we don't consider ethnic politics. That's why I can, you are the witness, you saw everything. And
Mm.
given what happened to Amhara people, your picture will tell the whole story. Look how many, horror we face. But here in abroad, at the Amhara, the way we try to appeal for those people is a little bit different, to be honest. We're not
Mm.
angry. We're not coming with the big number. We're not showing what happened really to our parents. We should tell exactly the story. But I don't want to put you in the comparison, but when you see the Tigrayans, whatever they happen to them, the diaspora Tigrayans, they try to show it. Sometimes even, I don't know, I think they a little bit more. The same thing the Oromos. Do you see that different that the Amhara's demonstration, do you think will uh, explain what happened actually in Amharas in Ethiopia? Do we represent the voice as it should be? Do you think you see that comparison?
No, no. And I'll tell you why. I have had conversations with people, and there is an aloofness, if I can say that, um, or a lack of understanding as to the depths of the situation. It's why, I was reporting and being very visual with my reports, because even down to the smallest detail, it's like I want to go into an IDP camp. I want to show you what parasites they're dealing with. I want to show you the conditions, the people's skin conditions that occur when they're sleeping on bare concrete or on, contaminated soil, to try to get people to really empathize and understand. I think that there needs to be more work done on actual empathy. I really think, and I propose this because people were concerned about theft of resources. I propose that people start to take more trips to these IDP camps. I propose that people would start to, if they're representing some organization and they're worried about aid distribution, and there are 5 of you in this organization, you take turns going 2 or 3 weeks at a time to do the distribution on your own, so you can actually face the conditions and accurately describe them and report them to the people back home and abroad. Because there's nothing like the smell of an IDP camp where there's no sanitation, where there are people who are sick, people who have different ailments and conditions, and the conditions and watching somebody who just does not have water, who doesn't have the basics that we take for granted, um, seeing that firsthand will have an effect on you. And I think that we need to be more vigilant about experiencing that, empathizing with these people, and really understanding exactly what their needs are.
Hmm.
I think sometimes we hide behind just sending $100 somewhere. Whereas if you were in Zanzalima, or you were in Sokoto, or you were in Emabet, or you were in Afar, and you're struggling to deal with like 102-degree temperatures in Afar, and you're looking at people who have already had to walk several warriors to get to safe haven IDP camps, and who are struggling with the basics, you'd walk away a different person, a changed person, you know
Hmm. Look at this. This is, you know how hard it is to get all. These are, I believe, the minibuses, I guess. Having this is just life-changing thing in Ethiopia, and losing them like this is, life worth earning is gone. The entire family, whatever it is, I have no idea the story behind it. Where did you take this picture? What is this?
this is a taille. Um,
Wow.
I I deemed that I needed to understand the situation in Shoarobit and Ataye after I had seen the pictures like this, and the pictures of the slaughter, and the pictures of the 72 or 76 children, excuse me, that had been massacred during one of the attacks. So with this picture, this couple, this is the wife you see in the photo. She and her husband had lived in the Arab states for over 20 years. They worked hard, they saved up money, they moved back to Ataye to start a transportation business.
Hmm.
So they were going to use their minibuses as transport between, I guess, the cities in the region or what have you. And so when the left came into Ataye, they were looking in her yard, and they came in, and she said to them, her and her husband, they said, just take them, take the buses. They were, two of them were brand new, and one of them was 6 months old. So basically, none of these buses were older than 6 months. So they said to the OLF, go ahead, take them. We don't want to see them go to waste. Just take them. So nobody in the OLF, the soldiers that came into their front yard, could drive. So they couldn't drive them off, so they destroyed them. They set them all alight. They tried to kill the couple. There are bullet holes around the front door where the couple ran into the house and escaped out a back door and into the complex of the neighborhood, the neighborhood behind the house. But they burned all three of these minivans because they couldn't drive them away.
Hmm.
Um, and so this was on the edge of Ataye. As you got further into Ataye, it was just stores and shops burned to the ground. The hotels were all destroyed. Anything that made money for the people of the city was basically destroyed. They destroyed the Keverly offices, and then of course they committed massive, massive slaughter in Italy of
Hmm.
civilians. So
It's unbelievable, It's just Ataye is the story to tell, to be honest. The entire city was burned down. I think it's about two times or something like that.
twice, yeah.
Yeah, even the rebuilt houses also burned again. It's
Hmm.
amazing. That's why the story will tell. You've been in Wolkait, you saw what happened before and after. You've been in Lalibela. The story of Lalibela by itself, it will take one day to explain. You've been worried about even the actual historical Lalibela because the war might, you know, destroy it. I remember you were speaking about that. We might lose Lalibela itself. And you've been back and forth. Tell me about Lalibela. What makes you worried, especially the beginning of the war?
Um, well, I looked at Lalibela the same way that I looked at other historical cities of religious significance throughout history that have been used or being basically held hostage and been used as a type of shield to forces that are fighting against whatever or whoever. And those historical sites are always destroyed because they're caught in the middle. I was worried about that. I was worried about the fact that Lalibela affords you such views and control of a region because it's on a plateau, and then Asherton Mariam being one of the highest plateaus or locations in the region. And I had friends in Lalibela. I had several priest families that I was friends with. A guide who turned a good friend. Um, One of my first friends and her family. We've all become and we stayed good friends since 2013. Um, and then when I befriended other families who were IDPs, and they told me about the way things were happening in Lalibela, I was really concerned. You
Mm.
know, both as it being used as a place to store artillery and fire artillery into the valley below, um, and for the crimes of opportunity, that didn't occur in Lalibela, but occurred in the towns around Lalibela, Aina Jesus, and some other towns.
Hmm.
In
You
Yeah.
touched the people life too. After Lalibela freed, you went there, and it's not only the historical place survive. Somehow the life came back, I guess, a little bit, and there was
Mhm.
one eye-catching photograph that you took. The kids were playing a pool. I love this. I love this. Life become again, but look at the age. Look at the age. It's a really. I know the elders. I don't think will be still free when you went there, but the kids trying to be kids again after all that, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's like
It,
people wanted life to return to normal.
hmm.
Yeah.
Jamal, one day is not enough to talk about what you're doing, especially for Ethiopia. I'm just pick a few things from many trips that you make to Ethiopia. Your courage will teach me a lot. You are for Ethiopians. You're there every time. So, but again, my listeners will understand today how far the Amharas are suffering, left and right. And as you know, they're not politicians. We don't
Mm.
even the people involved in politics like me. I never have Amhara's politics until recently, to be honest. There's no choice. Also, almost like a dead end. Then I guess
Mm.
I have to do something. So, but we need to pick up. I guess I think we need to represent the voice. Don't you think? I
Mm.
mean, we cannot silent for those people. I mean, we need to say something.
Yeah, I think the number one priority should be safety and healing and restoration for these people who are IDPs. It's almost like, we need to, in a sense, as Paul stated, to be all things to all men, and start to share in their experiences and lift them out of the places where they are. I think first and foremost, the priority is them. It's the IDPs who are suffering. That's
Yeah,
that's the main priority. Me in politics, I don't get bogged down with it. I'm not flesh and blood Ethiopian, at least not that I know of, and that's not where I'm going. My focus is humanity. I think that more of us should have a focus of humanity. Those of faith should remember our commands and instructions to care for the poor, the oppressed, and what have you, and we should make them the priority. You know, that
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. I guess all the pictures have a great story. Thank you for your courage. And next time when we meet, I would like to speak to you about the baby you're trying to help. If I remember, I couldn't find the picture. There was a baby you're trying to help. That story by itself is unbelievable. If you have the picture, you can send it to me to Telegram. I can shows them, but you can tell me the story. You know what I'm talking about? The one you're trying to sponsor, the little baby.
Uh, um, well, actually, there's a couple. There's
Oh,
the one in
okay.
Lalibela.
Mm-hmm.
There's the one in Lalibela, who actually is doing much better.
Mm.
Once her parents got back to Lalibela, they went abroad. They left Lalibela. But the baby, in the course of staying, we raised money to ship her to Addis to go to the hospital, um, and take the proper milk, proper formula. She healed up. She gained
Okay.
weight and she healed up. The family in Lalibela that was have been my friends for years. The wife having lesions on her brain. She was due to go to her doctor for a follow up checkup this weekend or next weekend, but she's doing better. She's been taking medication to reduce the size of the lesions on her brain.
Hmm.
There was nothing cancerous.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Is
then
that the baby of Workanesh? Is that what it is?
yes, well,
Okay.
the baby belongs to the Dessalines, the one that I was helping last year. But Workanesh and her daughter had separate issues, and I got, by the grace of God, I got both of them help. There was also another baby from Wag Hemra who was in Zanzalima, who was suffering from the bites or the Nairobi fly,
Yeah.
and caring for that child turned into caring for half of the block that she was in, and raising enough awareness for them to come in and fumigate those blocks, those housing blocks in Zanzalima.
Hmm. I can understand. I mean, knowing you, you are a father, you have kids, you're a family man. And when you see so many people need help, even though your job is to tell their story and to help them to tell their own story, actually, but your humanity will kick in. You try to help. How many help you can do? I mean, how many of them you can help? It's very hard. But you never ignore your humanity. You try to reach at least a few of them every time. So that's amazing me. And it's hard to manage. It's hard to manage. Thank you, Jamal. It's a pleasure knowing you. I'm proud what you did. You are Ambassa Amach, Chegna Amach. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, brother. Thank you so much.